Alright, for today I've got Korvold, Faker's King, and actually his Deconstruction. So, after, I haven't played him very often. Whenever I look at the deck list, whenever I look at the cards, I still like the idea of him. I still want to play him, but that's only the idea. I more like the idea of playing Korvold than the reality of playing him. And what I mean by that is last Thursday, playing a game. So in the session I started with Kenrith, and Kenrith got about turn 5-6. I had been ramping. I had Dryad Elish and Grove out. I cast Wheel of Fortune, throwing Avacyn and Hirobi into my graveyard. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, Hirobi, Death Whale into my graveyard. And Kenrith was out. So next turn, I reanimated Avacyn in response to... No. I resurrected. Reanimation is a bad way to think about it because reanimation costs you life. Resurrection simply does it. So I resurrected Avacyn. And then the following turn, in response to an attack, I resurrected Hirobi, and I killed something by targeting it with Kenrith's +1 ability to give a target creature +1/+1 counter. Cube, when he saw that, he kind of saw what was going to happen, and then when he went to his combat step, his commander, I forget, some Tyrannid commander, puts a +1/+1 counter target creature. So I said, okay, whatever creature target Hirobi's going to kill. And he said, okay, I'd target Hirobi. Alright, doesn't Hirobi die? Avacyn says no. And Cube was... he immediately realized that this game was not going to go well. And so he's, okay, I concede. Because he didn't have much of a board. And he wasn't really going to be able to catch up if I've already got this. And Long Pete, he was looking at it, and he's a new player, and he's really aggressive, and he didn't quite see what was going on. And so I killed a couple of his creatures. He said, "How did you do that?" And I said, and Cube explained it. They explained it in Slovak, because Long Pete is Slovak. So Cube explained it in his native language, and Pete was like, "So you can do that any turn, you can just kill any creature." "Yeah, as long as I've got one in the green." "Oh, okay," so he conceded too. So I led the night off with kind of a combo, dirty combo, lock people out, win the game. Third game, playing Korvold. And I had a pretty good board. I had Marin. I had Mirren out. I had Deathrite Shaman. I had Tireless Provisioner. I was able to, every time I land, get something sacrificed to Korvold. Then I cast Korvold, sacked something, Deathrite Shaman I think it was. Yeah, Deathrite Shaman, because I had Mirren out. Drew card, he got bigger. And returned the Deathrite Shaman to play with Mirren's experience counter ability. I'll explain that when I show the cards. And then Cube, he was playing a small Eldrazi. He put down... He had his Fleshraker out that had dealt 16 points of damage to everybody. You know, the Fleshraker is the best card in the deck. And then he got out his Eldrazi Displacer. So I can't attack anymore. He will always make sure he's got 3 mana to blink Korvold. So I can't hit him with commander damage. Pete wasn't doing too bad. Had a decent board. Rahman was just treading water, not getting anywhere. His deck wasn't really working. And I realized that Cube could just lock me out. Even if the other 3 of us gang up on Cube to beat his Eldrazi, every time I attack the Korvold, Cube can just flicker him. So he won't attack. He won't deal any damage. He'll just come into play, he will stay at 5/5 because he will come into play, get a counter, outdraw a card, and then next turn if I attack, Cube will just blink him again. He'll come into play, so he'll stay at 5/5. He won't do any damage. Yes, I will be drawing cards. Yes, I'll be sacrificing things. But I'm not really going to get anywhere. So I realized I have to fall back on the infinite combo, which would kill the whole table if I pull out the infinite combo. Of course, if I'm drawing an extra card each turn and doing some other bullshit in between, I'm getting closer to it. But I had no enthusiasm for it. I had no desire whatsoever to do it. I just didn't want to do it, and I felt so tired. I just didn't want to play it, didn't want to do it. And so I conceded. And Pete said, well, we could probably take him. I said, yeah, but I'm not going to get anywhere. And I didn't tell him at the time about the infinite combo. Because I just didn't want to feed into impressions that my decks always have weird, tricky bullshit that surprise the lads, which a lot of them do. So I decided what I'm going to do is break up Korvold. I'm going to break them up. A lot of the pieces are slated for Saskia. I'm going to build Saskia, Super Tokens deck. She sounds like a lot more fun. What I'm going to do is make a pile of 4 Saskia, and then I need to figure out what the hell to do with. So Bone Shredder comes into play, destroys non-artifact, non-black creature with Echo. So he's great with Korvold. And as I go through these cards and I talk about him, I'm going to want to play Korvold. I'm going to fall back in love with the idea of playing the deck. The idea that what can happen, what can do, how these things work, how I got some of these cards for Korvold. I spent money on cards for him, but I just don't want to do the infinite combo. I just don't. Anyway, Bone Shredder was cheap. The reprint, even in foil, has near zero financial value. But when he comes to play, I shred a creature. He's 1/1 flyer, so he can block a flyer if I need to. Or, at my upkeep, if Korvold's in play, well, I have to sacrifice him if I don't pay the Echo. So I sacrifice him, and Korvold gets bigger and gets plus and plus encounter. So that's not really for Saskia. Weak to Dead, black X, cast only during combat on an opponent's turn. Return X target cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Sack them at the beginning of the next end step. So if you've got some creatures in your graveyard that have comes into play triggers, or just some big things that can save your ass from an attack, this is like a pseudo fog. You can think of this as a pseudo fog. Yeah, it costs, however much mana to get whatever cool creatures out you have. I've never played it. I'm really interested to see it in action, but Saskia is going to be a tokens deck. This, maybe I'll put it into, I don't know, Icarus Shadiki Sidarakondo, or, not really Kervek. Carador. Maybe Carador will get this, but I'll put this somewhere, but it's not for Saskia. Urborg Justice. Black for an instantly. Target opponent chooses and buries. So, when you cast this, if you've sacked or lost, whatever, 10 creatures have hit your graveyard this turn, you cast it and target opponent has to sacrifice an equal number of creatures if they have an equal number or less. If you've lost 10 and they only have 6, well, there go their 6. I love the way the phrasing is. Target opponent chooses and buries the number of creatures he or she controls equal to the number of creatures put in your graveyard from play so far this turn. So Saskia is going to be tokens. And imagine a lot of tokens dying. So that's for Saskia. You have my Cradle of Growth. Each land is force in addition to its other land types. Yep, that will go into Saskia. Sky Shard Ranger. Tap, put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Only as a sorcery. Not sure if for Saskia or not, so let's put it over here. Timeless Witness. It's just Eternal Witness for 2 more because it has Eternal Lives. Or 1 more. Eternal Witness costs 1 green. This costs 2 green. But you can exile it, bring it back as a zombie. I don't think I have an Eternal Witness for Saskia, so she'll need that. Havoc Demon. I got this for Korvold. I specifically got this foil Legion's Havoc Demon for Korvold, and now I'm breaking them up. And now I want to play it. But only in my head. I don't actually want to sit down at the table and do an infinite combo on everybody. So 7 for 5/5. When he's put into the graveyard from play, all creatures get -5 in turn. You can see this is where this would be good in Korvold. So if I have to sacrifice something, and if Korvold is well, even if he's 5/5, even if he's just coming to play and he only has 1+1+, he'll be a 5/5. If I sacrifice Havoc Demon, Korvold says whenever you sacrifice, so immediately he'll become a 6/6. I'll draw a card, and Havoc Demon will give all creatures -5/-5 until end of turn. But Korvold will live. Of course, if I attack, he'll only be a 1/1, but if everything else is dead, so be it. So, Zern Orb, sack a land, gain 2 life. Yeah, sack a land, draw a card, Korvold gets bigger. Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. Yeah, that's for Saskia. Creekwood Liege. So Saskia, she wants tokens, but she's not just black-green, she's also red-white. So since this does nothing for the red or white creatures, it won't be going into her. Bog. I quit playing these. I started pulling them out of my my decks because usually, and Cube keeps doing it. Cube keeps reinforcing it. My argument is that whenever anybody has a bog, they don't save it. If they need a land, they play the bog and just exile. How many cards are you in your graveyard? 1. You, none. You, 2. Okay, I'll exile your graveyard because you have the most. So they don't use it strategically. They don't save it. The genie said, "Oh yeah, people use it strategically." I've maybe once seen somebody use bog strategically in all the games I've played with the lads I've played. Usually, somebody has it in their hand, they need mana, they just play it because they need the damn mana. But in Korvold, I've got Conduit of Worlds, so if I sacrifice it to Korvold, I can get it back. So I can use it strategically, even if I play it as a land, because I need the land. At some point, Korvold can eat it, and Conduit of Worlds can bring it back. I'm not sure if Saskia's going to need this, so I'll toss it over there. Rootbound Crag, yeah. I'm not going to put too many of these non-basics into Saskia. I'm going to go with more base. He's going to have, 6 shock lands, 6 fetch lands. There's a dozen right there. And then I want 2 of each basic land because a lot of my ramp is for basic lands. So these extras, I'm going to set them aside, and if I've got the room, if it makes sense, then I'll do it. But the idea that I have to mountain or forest, well, it's a 4-color deck. So if I have a swamp and a plains, if I don't have a mountain or forest when I cast this, let's say I have got Isolated Chapel, and I've got a mountain, or sorry, a swamp and a plains. Well, this is coming to play tap, slowing me down. I don't want things to slow me down. Ashen's Altar, sacrifice creature, 2 color. For Saskia, being 4 color, I really want a Phyrexian Altar if I'm going to put one in there. So Ashen's Altar will come out, even though it's this beautiful extended altered one by Ren, my friend Ren, who does Dance Dance Revolution videos. So take that out. Crop rotation, play it, sack a land. Yep, that'll find Cradle. So Pitiless Plunderer. Okay, whenever another creature controlled dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token with sack it. Yep, I'll explain why when I get to it. Yes, Korvold has his 3 on-color dual lands. I might as well put them in Saskia. Okay, there's her Overgrown Tomb. Hammerheim, remove all landwalking ability from target creature, and I don't think I'm going to need this. I hardly ever see anybody play landwalking. Burnished Heart, this is going to be kind of slow for Saskia, so I've not chosen her basics, but I don't, well, maybe I will use cons. Maybe I will use the cons basics. I'll find out later. World Shaper. When he attacks, mill for 3. Well, Korvold has a pretty good reanimation suite. Reanimation, I need to take that reanimation out of my head and replace a resurrection. That's more accurate. He has a resurrection suite. He dies, put all in cards. I am going to be doing something with Goblin Trenches, so maybe, yeah, let's think about that. Okay, there's her Blood Crypt, Scurry Oak. When this evolves, so 2 and a green for a 1/2. When it evolves, when a bigger creature comes into play, I may create one single squirrel token. With Korvold, that's pretty good, because he only needs sacrifice. With Saskia, I want to go wide as quickly as possible, so making one squirrel per turn doesn't sound very efficient. Fiend Artisan. So he can go find another creature with CMC X or less. Yeah, let's put it in Saskia. What the hell? You have my Ranger. Comes into play. Go find a basic land card. Put in play tapped. And they echo. So again, like the Bone Shredder. Echo is good with Korvold. So I go in, I find a basic land, put in play tapped. Beginning of my next turn, I don't pay the echo. You have my Granger is sacrificed. Korvold gets bigger and I draw a card. Well, Saskia's not doing any of that. So for Springs, as I explained, I'm going to minimize the lands without a basic land type. Silver Ranger, when she comes into play, go find a basic land card, show it off. I'll see if I need that. Micaeus the Unhallowed. I got this Micaeus for Korvold. I got it specifically for him. And now I'm taking it out. Well, the way I'm building Saskia, if most of her creatures are tokens, it really doesn't matter if they have Undying. And it's going to be random tokens. It's going to be random humans, squirrels, fairy rogues from Bitterblood. It's going to be a barrage. So them having Undying and randomly, okay, some of them get bigger, some not, because some will be human, some won't. I don't think he's worth the slot. What if I put him in Nelia? Need to think about that. Zealous Conscripts, it's in Korvold because I can grab somebody else's permanent. Not just creature, any permanent. Planeswalker, land, their 1972 Volvo, whatever they've got. I can grab it, and then Korvold can eat it. Sack him, blow up an artifact or enchantment. If Korvold's in play, he gets bigger and you draw a card. I mean, that's the fucking theme. You sack something, Korvold gets bigger and draws a card. Of course, if he cannot actually connect with your opponent, because they've got a goddamn Eldrazi Displacer, and they're careful enough to always make sure they have mana up, so he can never get through, it's fucking pointless. Jetafang. Oh yeah, he makes more tokens. That's for Saskia. You have my Hollow, regenerates Saskia. Torrent's Crypt. I need a way of dealing with somebody's graveyard. Maybe I will keep the maybe I should put the Bog in there, because if I have Goblin Trenches says 2 tap, sack a land, or maybe it's 1. Anyway, spend a little bit of mana, sack a land, you get 2 1/1 red-white Goblin tokens. So if I sack Bojuka Bog and Saskia has the Conduit of Worlds, she can bring it back. Yeah, I better thinking it through. I better keep her the Bog because I can actually use it strategically. So when I find Conduit of Worlds, that will go into Saskia. I just like this card. I've always liked this card. I've only, in all the times I've loved this card and had this card in the deck, it rarely has ever come up, and only one time did it blow somebody out of the water. But it was so glorious, and I like the art so much in the shiny foil that I'm putting in Saskia. Tokens. Tokens die, so yeah. Blazing Effigy. He's just funny. I really like the idea of him in Korvold. And then now I'm again wanting to play fucking Korvold. I thought it would be kind of funny to sacrifice Blazing Effigy to Korvold. So Korvold attacks, sacrifice Blazing Effigy, and then Lightning Bolt something, and then resurrect him and do it again. So he's just like an on-tap. Whenever he goes to the graveyard, he does 3 damage to target creature. And then there's other stuff. So if an effigy is damaged by another effigy, and this is the only effigy in the goddamn game, only one. So if you've got 3 of these, and this one dies, you do his 3 damage to another effigy, and then you do that damage to another effigy. So that would be 9. But then, why wouldn't you just, this guy dies, deals 3 damage. This other effigy dies. Well, that's so you can kill the effigies. So you can chain them together, and they all deal their damage together. It's just fun. It's just fun Legends card, but it's not for Saskia. Secret Tribe Elder, sack him, go find a basic land. If I put Mirren into Saskia, which I don't think I will because I don't think I'll need her. So the reanimation, the resurrection suite in Saskia is wholly dependent on the creatures I have when I build the deck. If I have far more token generators than I do creatures, then I won't have as much of a resurrection suite because it won't be as relevant. I'll have to see that when I get there. Command Tower, yep, she's going to need a Command Tower. She's got 4 goddamn colors. Artifact Mutation, it makes tokens and destroys an artifact, and it can't be regenerated. So, yep, put that there. I think I will, yeah, I'll give Saskia the Cons lands. If I have tokens, I'm going to, Helm of Possession is going to be nice. 4, comes into play, sits there until 2, sack creature, gain control of target creature as long as you control the helm, and it remains tepid. And you may choose not to untap it during your untap it phase. Yep, definitely. It depends. It really depends. This would probably be better in Nalia. Because if I'm going wide with tokens, giving one of them, even though Death Touch Lifelink is always good, not sure it's going to be worth a slot. Yes, definitely the Bombardment. I want the Monty Python Bombardment, even though it's Universes Beyond, even though it's got that fucking Universes Beyond bullshit symbol. It's just so funny. Fetchy Lavage. So they made a Monty Python Secret Lair. Some of you might not know. Some of you probably know and were incredibly pissed off at how incredibly quickly it sold out and you could not get it. But I've already seen them go on sale, so I don't know how. It just went on sale, what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? And already I'm seeing people list the cards for sale as if they have them. Anyway, if I can get one of those bombardments, I probably will. Burgeoning. Whenever an opponent plays a land, you may put a land card from hand on the battlefield. With Korvold, I should be drawing a lot of cards, getting a lot of land, so I should always have something to drop with Burgeoning. With Saskia, I don't know how that's going to be, so I'm going to set this aside for now. Downtrod Elk, Sack Elk, go find another sacrifice creature for Korvold. Not really relevant for Saskia. Another land without a basic land type, not relevant. Yeah, definitely cons. Color of the Claw. Comes into play, put a 2/2 green bear creature token into play for each non-token creature, non-token, put into your graveyard from play this turn. So if the deck is mainly tokens, and I don't have that many non-token creatures, this isn't so interesting. Mountain. Dual Caster Mage. Dual cast a Cyclonic Rift. So they cast Rift. I copy it. My copy goes off first. So they bounce their shit to their hand too. For being an asshole. Although I have obviously overloaded a Cyclonic Rift or 2 in my time. And therefore I've been the asshole, but that's okay. Coffee Queen. Like I said, I don't know how many creatures I'm going to have at the end. She might go into Saskia, she might not. Arachnogenesis. Okay, so I fog, essentially, and I get a bunch of tokens. For 3. 2 and a green. That sounds pretty good. Living Death. If I don't have that many creatures, mainly tokens, I'm not going to have that many things to bring out. That said, it is a board wipe. But it's a board wipe that can bite me because if my opponents have a lot of creatures in their graveyard, then they'll get them back. I'm not sure I want them to do that. Wooded Foothills. She already has fetch lands. So I've got X fetch lands put somewhere. Siege Gang Commander. Comes into play, creates tokens. I can use tokens to deal damage. Yay. Liliana, Heretical Healer. Another non-token. I get a token. Yeah, not really for Saskia. Corpse Dance. This is good in Korvold because if I so 2 in a black, say 4 in a black because I buy it back as often as possible. Put the top creature card from my graveyard into play. It's got haste. I'm supposed to exile it at the end of the turn. Well, if Korvold eats it, if I bring it to play, block, and then I've got to sacrifice that outlet, I can sacrifice it, Korvold get his triggers, or on my turn, bring something into play, get a comes into play ability, comes into play trigger, maybe the creature has haste. I don't know, it's not really good in Saskia though. Again, not... Alright, so I'm going to splice this together because you know how my camera is. Constant Caterpillar. Sacrifice it. Again, the common thread a lot of these cards is Korvold. Sacrifice it. Saskia does not have that common thread. She does not care about sacrifice. She cares about punching people in the face. This doesn't punch very hard. It does destroy an artifact or enchantment though, and I can bring it back. I could do Mirren of Clan Telnoth. I could run her and a few things like this. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm still working out the final direction of the creatures. Still fleshing out the deck. Captivating Crew, 3 in a red. And for 3 in a red, steal a creature an opponent controls. Untap it. Feed it to Korvold. He gets bigger, punches in the head, and you draw a card. Yay. Bloodstained Mire. Yep, she needs her Mire. Yeah, I'm going to give her the Vora Stronghold because even if she only has 3 non-token creatures, I'm probably going to want to get them back when they die. Endrixar, Master Breeder. So whenever I cast a creature spell, I get tokens. And if I have 7 or more Thrall tokens, he dies. So I have to bring him back somehow. But he creates tokens, reliably, effectively. Have to think about that. See what the final deck is going to be. So that's what our swamps are going to look like. High Market. Not sure if I want to run High Market in Saskia or Mirror in the Moaning Well. I have Mirror in the Moaning Well just sitting around doing nothing. The activation cost is a little bit higher than you'd want for this. It's 3, but you gain life equal to the creature's toughness. Whereas this doesn't cost any mana, but you only gain 1 life no matter how big or small the creature is. Well, let's just keep it for now. Pernicious Deed. X, sack it, destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment CMC X or less. And it just sits there for no... But if I don't have a way to get it back... it's not going to be that interesting. It's just a one-off. And I like figuring out ways to get things back and reusing them. But I need border wipes, so let's put that there for now. What else? When they come into play, go find a forest, put it in play, yeah, that'll be good. Deranged Hermit. When Homeboy comes into play, you get 4 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens, and as long as he's not dead, all squirrels get +1/+1. Well, token generator. Solemn Simulacrum 4 comes into play, go find a basic land, he dies, draw a card. I don't know if I really want Solemn Simulacrum in this deck. Because I want to go wide. I want tokens. He finds 1 land, has to die to draw a card. Or leave. And with Korvold, obviously Korvold would just eat him. So I'll draw a card. Saskia, I'm not really going to have that sort of thing going on. So maybe Saskia will be one of the very few decks I have that does not have a Solomon's Simulacrum. There it is, Conduit of Worlds. I may play lands from your graveyard. So if I can play lands from my graveyard, Gauntlet Trenches gets a lot more interesting. That's one of the reasons they took it out of Aurelia. Because the only way I had to get my lands back was Planar Birth. Well, Saskia can run Conduit and Planar Birth, so I can get them back in mass, and World Shaper. So 3 ways. Conduit Worlds, 1 by 1, get them back. Planar Birth, in mass, the basics, back, tapped. And World Shaper, in mass, all of them in play tapped. Let's leave that there. Deathrite Shaman. Again, I'm going wide, so I don't really think I need this. He does deal with cards in graveyards, though. So maybe. Let's put him here as a maybe. Sarkinvol. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and haste until... So if I've got a token army, I want to smash with them. If I can make them bigger and make them faster, that's probably a good idea. Forest. Woodland Cemetery. Hellkite Tyrant. Really don't need him at Saskia. I had up Korvold because I thought it'd be funny to hit somebody, hit a couple of people, and then maybe I would actually win the game by having 20 or more artifacts. Didn't have him play, didn't play Korvold that often. Lost my enthusiasm for the whole infinite combo idea. A lot sooner than I expected. Tireless Provisioner. Let's see, so land comes into play, and I should be eating land with the trenches and then getting back with Conduit of Worlds, so this should go off quite often. It's a token deck. This great, yeah. Why am I even talking about it? It just goes in. Stomping Ground. Yep. Petrify. Targeted removal. Worlds of Wilding. So here's one of the infinite combos. Let me just get the other part of it. So I didn't want to do this. I just didn't. It also needs Ashen's Altar. So let's put these here where we can see them. Fucking glare. That didn't help at all. God damn it, it's fucking glare. I hate these sleeves. I really do. They just... too much glare. Too much reflection. They feel soft. They don't feel very... I'm not going to buy those kind of sleeves again. So... is that any better? Can we see these clearly? Stand up, you little bastards. Put that there to block it. Okay. Right. So, Ashen's Altar. I have Ashen's Altar in play and something to sacrifice. I get 2 colorless mana. He's going to trigger I'll draw a card. I spend 1 of the mana from the altar. Next time I draw a card, put a bear into play. And then the bear comes into play, sacrifices the altar, he triggers, does 1 point of damage to anything. Spend the mana from... how's it go? Sacrifice the bear to the altar. Get 2 mana. Instead of drawing a card, I put a... because he says draw a card. Instead of doing that, I put a 2/2 bear into play. But a sacrifice is permanent, so Mayhem Devil triggers. Take the bear I created, sacrifice the altar, and then he says draw a card. He says make another bear, but it's sacrificed a bear, so I do point it. That's the infinite combo. I'm not explaining very well. I'm not being very exciting about it. I'm just not enthusiastic for it. I don't want to do it. It's the kind of thing where I would do it once, and the lads would look at me like, okay, great, you won. You happy now? That was some bullshit. And it is, and this is bullshit. And Saskia doesn't really, unless I can figure out some way of drawing a lot of cards of Saskia, and I haven't figured that out yet. This really, Worlds of Wilding isn't that effective. I have had it for a long, long time, though, because I like the art. I like having these old foils. So if it goes back in my art binder and is not in the deck, so be it. I will still enjoy it. Spontaneous Generation, 3 in the green. Put a 1/1 green sapling creature token in play for each card in your hand. Alright, make tokens. Grave Titan, make tokens. Definitely for Saskia. Spore Frog. If I put this in Saskia, I'm arguing more for including at least some aspect of the Marin of Clan Telnoth suite of recursion. I don't think I'm going to need Spore Frog, but I'll see. Soul Ring, yeah, she'll need a Soul Ring. Catacombs, she already has a Catacombs. Marin of Clan Telnoth, I don't know. Like I keep saying, I don't know if I'm going to use her or not. I haven't decided on the end suite of cards. So Marin of Clan Telnoth, although it actually would be really good because she doesn't care if it's a token or not. So if she's in play, oh, and it's when okay, so if I get 4 tokens killed, I get 4 experience counters. Oh, okay, she's going in. Translucent Forest, Swamp. This, in a way, should go in, but it only creates 1 token a turn unless I have Chatterfang or No End of Procession or Doubling Season. But it only creates a... I'll see. I'll see what I need at the end. Glissa, the Traitor. I really like Glissa. I really like the idea of playing her. I really like the card. I hardly ever put her in any decks because she doesn't fit. She's just so weird. First Strike Death Touch. That by itself is pretty goddamn good, right? She's black, green, green for a 3/3. That whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you can return an artifact card from your... That's weird. But just her being a 3/3 for 3 with First Strike and Death Touch, that should have me pushing her into every deck that I can. Every deck that can take her. But I don't. And it's because even though she's cool, there's just something about her that's disjointed. Something about her that just doesn't... It's like Questing Beast. Questing Beast is fucking cool. 4/4/4/4 Vigilance, Haste, Death Touch, right? Can't be blocked by creatures of power 2 or less. But who plays them? I should have one and I should be playing it, but in what? What does it make sense? I mean, it's a goddamn good creature. I see it on Arena, I played it on Arena, but in paper, I just don't know what I'd do with it. Beat people with it, but where? Edric? Should I put it in Edric? Animar would be pretty cool, but Animar's so choked with... I mean, Animar's got like 46 creatures. And yeah, I could slot one out for this Questing Beast, but I just don't. It's weird. But anyway, so I probably won't put her in Saskia. Or maybe I will. Maybe I'll just force her in. Then these are lands. So these lands go over here. I put Urborg in this pile, so Cabal Coffers has to go in that pile. I've got Taiga. She doesn't have I don't have a bad... Yeah, that's right. I don't have a Badlands. I don't have an extra one. I only have Bayou and Taiga. I have the 2 green ones. So Saskia would have 2 of 6 possible dual lands, which is still pretty damn good. I mean, dual lands are dual lands. Right, so let's look at why I set Pitiless Plunder aside. Pitiless Plunder and Cheddarfang are a machine gun team. They're as obnoxious and effective as Triskelion and Mephedros Vampire. Pitiless Plunder. Whenever another creature controlled dies, you get a treasure token. Cheddarfang. Whenever a token comes to play, you get a squirrel. So Cheddarfang. Spend black, sacrifice a squirrel. Pitiless Plunder says, hey, you sacked a creature. Creature died. Have a treasure. Cheddarfang says, hey, you made a treasure. Have a squirrel. Sack the treasure. Make a black. Sack the squirrel. Something gets plus X, neg X. Plus 1, neg 1. And so you just keep going. It is an infinite combo. It is kind of obnoxious, but it doesn't kill the players. The one I showed you before, the one I just had no enthusiasm for, it kills everybody. It wins the game. So if I assemble that, I just win the game out of nowhere. And I want to do that. Now if I kill all the creatures, if I kill everybody's creatures kind of out of nowhere, well, that's just a fucking border wipe, isn't it? That's just... Effectively, it's the same as Wrath of God, Damnation, Farewell. It's the same as any of those, except I get to keep the engine that does it. I get to keep the engine in play until somebody kills one of them, which they will pretty goddamn quickly. That's just the way it works. So I'll keep the machine gun team of kill all the creatures in play. The other obnoxious thing about Triskelion and Mephedros Vampire is Triskelion can hit creatures, or hit players. One damage, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I need to read that again. I could be wrong. But, so this is what I have to think of for Saskia. And it's a lot of cards. Holy shit, it's a lot of cards. I mean, the lands don't really count, because I count the lands separately, so I count 37 lands, and then the commander, so it's 38. So here's the way I build my decks. 37 lands, plus the commander. I count all that together as the command mana suite, and then that gives me either 62 or 63 other cards to actually put in the deck. That's how I mathematically create the deck. So this is 2. This is 28 cards. So I could put another 33, 34 cards in the deck. But there's probably a number of these cards I don't really want or need in the deck. Anyway, I'll figure that out. I'll figure that out in the next video.